Hey, good morning or afternoon, everyone. This is Mark here, and today we're going to go through our Ordership Express product to show you how you can actually do shipping out of Business Central quickly and easily. With that, let's talk a little bit about Ordership Express. So what does it do? Well, it lets you ship stuff, right, within Business Central, kind of that first bullet point. And it is available globally. The prior version of Ordership Express last year, we made it available only in the US. It is now available in pretty much every country, like every region that is supported by Business Central, Ordership Express is available. And what it allows you to do is you can either use built-in accounts that are available. That's primarily North America, the US, like USPS and UPS and accounts like that. Or you bring your own account. So if you have an account with some carrier like Royal Mail or DHL or something like that, you can bring in your own accounts into the system, and you can use those accounts to get your shipping rates and your labels and everything else. Okay. If you do use the built-in accounts in the US, the UPS and USPS rates are discounted. So if you don't have an account with UPS or USPS, you can get those discounted rates from those default carriers. We do get the rates from the carriers. We get the labels, obviously, the tracking numbers, all of those sorts of things. We can generate return labels. So if a customer wants to return product, you can go in and generate a return label for a prior shipment, those sorts of things. And the bottom one here, we do domestic shipments through Ordership Express. So there's no international shipments. Like, you can use it internationally, but you can only do domestic shipments within the country that you're in. So it's fairly comprehensive, and we do have another shipping product called Dynamic Ship that you may be familiar with. And people often ask, what are the differences between Ordership Express and Dynamic Ship? Well, let me tell you. So, Ordership Express is great for people that use a specific carrier or one or two carriers all the time, or the carrier is always defaulted in from the customer, or the carrier comes in from the e-commerce site, those types of things. So within Ordership Express, we do parcel only, and we've got about 60 or so carriers that we support, again, global carriers that we support within Ordership Express. If you have accounts with any of those carriers, you can bring them in and you can use them. Within Dynamic Ship, we've got a lot more, and we do LTL and full truckload shipping as well. A couple of the key differences here on the warehouse shipping, what that means is if you're trying to ship with a warehouse shipment or something like that, you can't really do that with Ordership Express. You do have to go in and generate the labels from a sales order. Now, that doesn't mean I can't use warehouse shipments. I can use warehouse shipments, I can use transfer orders, all those sorts of things. But I go to the sales order to actually generate the actual shipping label. And the key one here, that international shipping, we can do domestic shipments only within Ordership Express. So if you're shipping internationally, and you're using Ordership Express, that would be an instance you'd have to go to the carrier's website or whatever. If you're using Dynamic Ship, of course, that's got all the automated, customs clearing and everything like that for international shipments. The other one down here, this multi-rate or multi-carrier rate comparison. What that means is within Ordership Express, I can go out and get the rate for my shipment. I'm shipping 3 boxes via FedEx or whatever, and it will give me the rate. It'll tell me what it's going to cost to ship that. But if I want to compare that to UPS, I have to switch the carrier to UPS and check the rate on that. Within Dynamic Ship, we can get all those rates in one spot, which is why I mentioned Ordership Express is great if you're only using one or two carriers and the carrier is always defaulted in from the customer or the e-commerce site or something like that, where you don't need to do that multi-carrier rate shopping. Okay? And then again, this packaging and package management, again, usually Dynamic Ship is better if you're doing a lot of the warehouse packaging, using it in the warehouse, those sorts of things. Not that Ordership Express can't be used there, but Dynamic Ship gives us a lot more capability for managing packaging in the warehouse, pallets and boxes and LTL and hazmat and doing third-party billing. All of those sorts of things are included in Dynamic Ship. Ordership Express is a little more basic from a shipping perspective. All right, now that said, let's jump in and actually see what this thing looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how simple it is to get this installed. And like I mentioned, for people who have specific carriers, all those sorts of conditions, this is almost a must-have. Like if you're doing Shopify or something like that, you need to have Ordership Express installed. If you're shipping a set of documents to your lawyer or accountant, once every 2 weeks, you need Ordership Express. There's no reason not to have it in. If you're ever having to go to a carrier website or use carrier software to generate a shipping label, you should just have Ordership Express. Why? Because it's free and it takes you like 5 minutes to set up or 10 minutes to set up, and you're off to the races. So let's actually look at how we do a setup in Ordership Express. So I'm going to go into the Ordership Express setup wizard. Now, if you install this from the app source, this will launch this wizard immediately after you do the install. So if you go into the extension marketplace within Business Central, install it, this thing will launch and you just walk through it. I've done it once before, but we're going to walk through it again here. So just agree to the terms. You can load the terms and conditions. This you always have to turn on. We can't force that on, but you turn that on. You have to have this on in order for us to go out and get the rate. So always turn that on. The next step is we come in, and now we're going to talk about something called Easy Post. Easy Post is the tool, the API that we use to actually get the rates, get the labels, everything else. So in order to use Ordership Express, you do have to sign up with this company called Easy Post, and it's free. And if you ship up to 10,000 packages a month, it's completely free. Okay, so the way it works is you come in and you click these links. This will walk you through the entire setup process. I click this link, it'll take me to Easy Post, and it actually already logged me in. I should actually log out and do that again. But what it does is it takes you to, let me back up. It's not letting me back up. Anyway, it'll take me to the login screen or set up an account. And then after I've set up the account and logged in, it takes me to this screen here. And by default, it'll pop up this setup checklist. And you see I've already done a few of these things. But the next step after you've signed up is you'll actually come in and you'll add your carriers, right? So if we go back into Business Central, that's telling you this is what you need to do. You need to enter all this and then add a carrier by navigating or clicking there. So this is where we add our carriers. So let me show you how that works. I'm just going to go in and hit add a carrier. We come in, it tells me exactly what to do. And here I can use the Easy Post accounts. So those are the built-in accounts. So things like USPS, UPS, DHL Express, all those sorts of things you can add, and you get discounted rates if you use those. Otherwise, I can hit add carriers, and I can add whatever carrier account that I have for any of these carriers that are in the system. Okay, so if you've got your own FedEx account and Interlink, whoever those guys are, all of these sorts of things, you can sign up for those accounts and set them up. Now, once you've got your carrier set up, and I have a few set up here already, right? Once I've got those set up, I simply go back in to the setup wizard here. I say, yes, I've signed up, I hit next. And now what it's asking for is these things called API keys. And the API key is basically your account with Easy Post. So what I'm going to do is just like the others, I'm going to click this link, and it's going to take me directly to the page where I can get my API keys. So all I'm going to do is hit copy, right? And these are, you want to keep these hidden because they're your account. And then I'll come in here and I'll paste them in. So I've already done that. I've pasted my account, my keys in there, and I'm done. I hit next. Now I get to choose the carriers I want to use. So if I've got 10 carriers set up, I can come in and again, I can have up to 3 carriers within Ordership Express. When we're in Dynamic Ship, you can have unlimited carriers, but here I have to choose 3. So I'm going to choose, USPS, UPS, and LSO for some reason. I'll choose those 3, or maybe 2. Anyway, I'll just choose 2 for now. I only use UPS and USPS. Again, if you had a FedEx account in there or whatever else, you could select that as well. I'm just going to go next. It's going to come in and it's going to ask if I want to apply the default configuration. The first time you install this will be enabled, and you'll just hit next and it'll do the base setup and everything for you. It takes 5 seconds to do it. I'm going to leave it off because I've done it once before, and we're done. We've now set up our Ordership Express. And to see what that looks like, we're going to go into the setup page here, Ordership Express setup, and see what else we can do. So the production keys came in or the API keys came in from the setup wizard. It put in the default dimensions, so inches and ounces and pounds and everything else that we're using. You can change those to metric if you need to, all of that kind of stuff. Down here, the only thing I added was I added this account number for my shipping charges. So I've got this account here that I can use to charge shipping to my customers. And here, for the carriers that I have selected, I've put a markup. So For UPS, I'm marking up everything by 15%. So all the rates that come back from the carrier are marked up by 15%, and USPS I'm marking up by 20%, because I do get discounted rates over the list rates that the carriers would charge off their website. So I get to mark them up and make some money on my shipping. When you get into dynamic ship, you've got the ability to create much more complex rules for, flat rate charges and discounts and markups and all sorts of fun stuff. But in Order Ship Express, it's pretty simple. You set the markup that you want for each carrier, and you're done. Okay, so that was set up. Again, the actual setting up of the EasyPost account takes 5 or 10 minutes. Other than that, it's literally about 3 or 4 minutes to get Order Ship Express set up. Now, once it's set up, what can I do with it? Well, let's go in and we'll go into the sales order, because again, it works from sales orders. I'm going to just get my sales order list going here, and I'm going to open up this particular sales order here. And it's going to be pretty straightforward, right? So what we've got an order here that we need to ship. Just as an aside, this is our doc extender tool for drag and drop documents. So if you get an email that you want to drag and drop in here, or a file off your file system you want to drop in there, we can store that on SharePoint or as an attachment within Business Central. So that it can also be handy for, grabbing various things that the customer sent you or whatever. But anyway, here I am, I've got this, and up at the top here, these 3 actions are from Order Ship Express. So the first one, that's pretty obvious, create a shipping label. And then I can also look at options, that I want to set for this particular shipment. So I can come in here and say, you know what, they want an adult signature, or they want Saturday delivery, or whatever else there might be there. And I can come in and set all of that information. And I can actually do third-party billing. So if you're using your customer's UPS or USPS account, you can set their account number here and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so anyway, not much there for options. I can set some options on the shipment. Down here, if we scroll down, you can see we have specified UPS ground for this particular customer, because that's their default shipping agent that we use for it, or if it came from the e-commerce site or whatever. But that's basically what we've got. And now we're ready to actually go ahead and ship this thing out the door. So what I do is I come in here, I hit this create shipping labels. It brings up the shipping agent and the service. And now I simply specify what I'm shipping. So let's say I'm shipping a 12 by 9 by 8 box, whatever. And again, you can set whatever units of measure you like here. And let's say it's going to be 15 pounds. And this predefined package, if you're dealing with carriers that have predefined packages, you can get different rates. So if I'm using a UPS specific box, I could choose that, and I will get the rates that are associated with that specific package type. So you can do that as well. But this is really all I need to do. I specify the number of packages. I could ship multiple packages in here, but in this one, I'm going to ship 1 package, and we're good. Now, if I want to see what this is going to cost us, at this point, I could just hit get label, and I get my shipping label and everything else, or I could validate my options. But if I want to see what this is going to cost, I hit get rate. And what this will do is it'll go out and tell me what it's going to cost me to ship this particular shipment. And then I could go in and change the options and see what the different options do for my rates and all that. Like if I had a second box here that's an 8 by 5 by 2, which is weird, and a 4-pound box, and then get rate, I can come in here and review what these things are going to cost us. And this is the marked up price. But let's say I want to, he was mean to me on the phone, so I'm going to charge him extra for shipping. I can override that if I like. Okay, I'm good to go. I want to go ahead and get my label. And so I'm going to hit this get label. And when I do that, we're going to actually print out the shipping label. And the reason that it's going to print out is because we're using our print node connector. So I didn't get into that in a lot of detail, but our print node connector allows cloud print capability. And what that means, it means we don't have to have any additional user interaction in the system when I want to print something. So to show you actually how that's going to work, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make my my guy visible here. Just give me a sec. There. So what we've got here is the printer that's on my desk down here in the little call out. And I'm going to go ahead and hit get label, and we're going to see that label spit out. So hit get label. It's going to go ahead And it'll take a second. In a production environment, it takes roughly 3 seconds to 5 seconds to go out, grab the labels, and print them out. And there you can see out come my 2 shipping labels for that particular shipment. Now these labels, usually I have it show up just as a print preview, but you can see it's a UPS label. It's got box 1 of 2, box 2 of 2, that kind of stuff. And, that's my shipping label. And in a real label, instead of saying sample and barcode will print here, we'll actually get the barcodes and everything you need to slap these labels on the box. Now, if you don't have one of these little, label printers like I have, it'll show up as a PDF, and you can print it out to a laser printer and do whatever you want there, right? So this one here, it's a little GK420 printer, and they're cheap enough that you might want to do that if you're doing enough shipping. But yeah, you could print this out on just a laser thing and tape it to the box or whatever you want to do. All right, so with that, let's go back into Business Central. So now what you've got here in Business Central is we've added in that shipping charge. And what we've got here, I changed it to $39.99, but then I did the get rate afterwards. But what this does is show us what we're actually charging that customer and what we actually paid for that shipping. So this gives us the ability to see if we're making or losing money on our shipping charges, right? So you can go in there and do your own report on the posted invoice lines or whatever to see if you're actually making or losing money on your shipping. Now, we also put in the tracking number. So if that was a real tracking number, this would be the actual tracking number in there. So you can go in, and if you're using an e-commerce portal or whatever, you can send that information out for tracking. If you send an email to the customer, you can include that tracking link and everything else. And if you weren't aware, within Business Central, it does have some default, sort of tracking capability where if you've got a tracking link like this, you can include that in your invoice or whatever it happens to be, and they can click on that link and it will actually open up, the UPS site with that specific tracking number, those sorts of things. So that's basically it. It was really simple, a few minutes to set up. Once it's set up, I can hit this create shipping labels. It gets me my cost, gets me my pricing, generates the labels, and away we go. And incidentally, we don't have to do this. I added this setting to allow us to add the shipping charge. If you don't want to add the shipping charge like this automatically, you don't have to. That's a setting that I turned on. A couple of other things, if I go into here and look at the view ship packages, this will give me a list of all the packages that I've shipped before, and I could reprint the label. So if I come in here, I could reprint the label, or if I made a mistake, I can actually refund that label as well. So this is real time, right? If I go to the UPS site, if this was an actual real label, and I went to the UPS site, I would see that tracking number in the UPS site. We're doing this all real time, online, everything else. And that means that if I make a mistake, and I need to cancel this label, I need to come in here fairly quickly, usually within 10 minutes or so, to cancel that label out. Similarly, if I want to create a return label, so let's say I shipped this out, a month ago or a week ago, and the customer wants to return it for some reason, I can go into the posted shipments or posted invoice, get access to the same list here, the shipped packages, and I can hit create a return label, and that'll generate a return label that I can send them as a PDF to, stick on the box to return it to me, right? So lots of things you can do there. Those are pretty much the key things. All right, so very, very, very simple to use. I can come in here, and if I did a partial shipment of this, let's say I posted it and did a partial shipment, I can go back and create additional labels. It'll come in and tell me I've already created labels for it. Then I could come in and create, new labels. So for example, I could now come in and instead of shipping UPS, I'll ship one box, and I'm going to ship this guy USPS, and we'll use, we'll use USPS priority, and then I can get labels for, the USPS guy. And I can have as many of these labels, different carriers, everything else that I want on the ship. And you can probably hear there, it is actually printing out the USPS label now on my little printer. All right, now a quick thing on why it's printing. Like I said, we're using the print node connector, and just so you know how to set that up, it's the standard printer selections within Business Central. Once you have your print node connector installed, you actually go to printnode.com and you pay them $9 a month, unless you only print 50 of these a month, then I think that's free. And in here, I said, hey, for the Ordership Express carrier label, we're going to print to this specific printer that is actually coming from our print node install. And then I can come in here and specify how many copies I want, and the page size and all those sorts of things in here. So on this one, I do have my page size set up as 4x6, and I can print. So anyway, this is the print node configuration. Once I've got print node installed and the print node connector installed and hooked up and everything, it'll show me all my printers on the network. I choose the one I want to print to. You can also do it by user ID. I can set my settings, and I'm good to go. And now I've got stuff printing directly. Right. Now, one last thing I'm going to jump into here real quick is to sort of show you the difference between, what you see in Ordership Express and what you see in Dynamic Ship. So in Dynamic Ship, I'll just flip over to this order here. And you can run them side by side, by the way, right? So if you want people in accounting or something like that to be able to just create their own shipping labels without bothering anybody and in operations in the warehouse or whatever, you can absolutely do that. So here I've actually got both Ordership Express for these two and Dynamic Ship installed at the same time. And Dynamic Ship are these 4 actions here. So address validation is part of Dynamic Ship, and quick label, which works very much like Ordership Express, then the full packaging interface and the freight quoting. So in this one, if I'm on a sales order and I want to get some freight prices, like you saw on the other one, where I can choose the carrier and find out the rate. But if I want to find out a rate from a different carrier, I have to manually switch for that. Well, in Dynamic Ship, we can do that all in one. So if I hit this freight quote here, I can come in, and there's a few different ways we can do a freight quote. Like I can come in here and list the packages I'm shipping, or I can just say, you know what, I'm shipping 3 boxes, calculates the weight per box. I say go get quote, and it'll go out. And now it's doing the same thing. It's rate shopping all those carriers, but it's doing them all simultaneously instead of one at a time. So now you can see our FedEx rate. So this is what we're actually paying FedEx, what FedEx would charge on their website, that's the list, and what we're actually charging the customer for this shipping, right? They're getting free freight on everything except this UPS next day air. We charge them 10% more, which is still less than what we pay if we just went to the UPS website. So this is the Dynamic Ship. To be clear, this is not part of Ordership Express. This is one of the benefits you get to going to Dynamic Ship instead of Ordership Express. You get this ability to rate quote all your carriers, including LTL and parcel carriers from here. Okay. All right. So that's basically it, though. Ordership Express, to reiterate one more time, it's very quick to set up. The first time you do it might take you half an hour to get it set up, and then you're up and running, and you can actually immediately start generating shipping labels. There is no cost to set it up. When you go into EasyPost here, there is no cost to come in and set this up and to use the test API key for generating all these labels and everything else. What you would do once you're actually ready to start shipping real labels is you add a payment method. You can add in your credit card or your bank information, or you can just buy a credit, like you can buy $100 worth of shipping on here without providing a credit card number that's on file. And then you can start shipping immediately. So there's no cost to get everything set up, get it tested. When you're ready to start shipping, buy a credit on EasyPost or add your credit card on there and ship away. All right, so that's basically it. And if you do have any other questions, go to ordershipexpress.com or Shipping for Dynamics to see our full range of shipping solutions for Business Central. There's, as it says here, videos, articles, everything else. If you go to our knowledge base, which you can get to from the support link on our website, that has instructions on how to set up Ordership Express and Dynamic Ship and an order fulfillment worksheet and all those other things that I've talked about today. All right, with that, thanks everybody. I'm glad you're all able to attend, and hopefully we'll be talking again soon. Thanks everyone.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content.